Hello everybody, it is me, GamePenguin21, and today, oh boy, has Valve been taking over the entire news. It's really funny how their meme of Valve does nothing and wins, or Valve does something and literally burns down the entire internet has become here. And today, well, last week, they ended up making an entire huge announcement that they were actually expanding the hardware family of Steam in and of itself. So the official Steam Deck tweet here, which I'm going to throw up on screen, says they announced 3 new things with the Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame. To go over each of them quickly, the Steam Controller, or Steam Controller 2 if you really want to talk about it, is the updated version of the Steam Controller, which actually has a bit more in terms of betterment of upgraded hardware, better than the original. Kind of, because people have gotten used to that, but overall it's still pretty decent. Next up, we have the Steam Machine, which is also lovingly called the Gabe Cube, where it basically is a Linux box PC that allows you to basically utilize Steam OS and all that other good stuff, and it's great and fantastic and lovely. But that's what we're going to be mainly talking about today, because a lot of the PlayStation fanboys are going off about this. But of course, we're going to get into the Steam Frame just a little bit, which is the one thing I'm personally excited for, because that is their VR headset, which seems to be its own standalone / accessory headset. I do really wish that they come up with like ways to make it either wired or tethered to your PC, or that it works and integrates really easily with Steam VR, allowing you to just like have it and, you know, maybe not utilize the base stations, but maybe utilize the base stations for at least full body tracking. Please, 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 please. So we'll have to see when it fully comes out, apart from that. But of course, there are a lot of people out there that are yelling and screaming at this, including PlayStation fanboys. So we're going to take a look at a lot of those. But before we get into that, if you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, other than a like and a subscribe, please, please, please come on by. Please, please, please give me fucking whatever. I do stream here every 12 p.m. EST on both Twitch and YouTube. Come on by, say hi, and we'll have some fun. I do have a Ko-Fi as well, where you can give me money, or also send out for a commission via reaching out, most likely through DMs if you really care. But, you know, you gotta do it. Also, they want to hit 1.5k subscribers by the end of the year, but that's more besides the point. Anywho, let's go to talk to MBG with: do you think this could end up being a genuine competitor to the PS5? It's such interesting timing as Xbox begins to recede its console space. Valve enters. Oh boy. I don't really have anything much to say on this. I really don't think that, Valve entering the console space is even a thing that Valve is considering of doing, because they don't call it a console. It might have a console-like skin or a console-like experience. A console-like is not a console-make, so there is that. And I think this is more for people who are transitioning from a console to a PC, making it as easy of a transition as possible. I'm always kind of reminded of a weird thing that was said by, I know this is gonna sound weird, but said by Pirate Software, where the kids and the people that came up to their booth to play their game at some point didn't actually know how a controller worked and would just like touch the screen thinking that that's how you operated the game. It's very weird. So maybe that's just a generational thing, because some of these guys who have been just hearkening to the decades backs of old, the great times before the PC Master Race became a blah blah blah. I don't know, just kind of weird. But you know, of coolness here says Valve watched the millions of PC gamers flame Nvidia and AMD for a whole year and a half for releasing a silly 8GB VRAM cards. The response to this was to release an 8GB VRAM console. Maybe Valve is more tone deaf than people give them credit for. Now, I, for one, think that the reason why a lot of people got upset at the 8GB VRAM cards is because a card is actually more of like a piece of the computer. And while, yes, 8GB of VRAM is a little bit on the slower side and not really the greatest, when you're buying an entire PC that's kind of based around it and meant to be like not as powerful, but as good as a mid-range for pretty decent value, hopefully, a lot of people tend to give certain leeways to different stuff. Whereas with the reason for the 8GB VRAM cards, those are supposed to be the highest cutting edge major big cards to be utilized in high-end gaming PCs. So that's why they're getting more flack for that. So just kind of is very strange. A recurring motif that Arya kind of talks about here is saying, I'm struggling to understand who this console is supposed to be for. Now, there's a number of reasons to buy this PC, not a console, but I mean, each one will have their own. For me, myself, and if I were to get this thing, it would probably be a backup PC that I would utilize for other purposes. Maybe I would use it as like my music or my media station, which I think would actually be kind of cool, having a Steam Deck as a media situation where I could then plug in and audio out some stuff for whatever reason. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to do that. It'd be really cool to have like an interesting DJ setup with that. That'd be neat. That'd be cool to see. I wonder. But I mean, at the same time, I already have my laptop, but you know, there is interesting factors that can be done. Maybe it'd be a cool server too. Phil Spencer here says, gaming moves forward when players and developers have more ways to play and create, especially across other platforms. Expanding across PC, console, handheld devices reflects the future, built on choices, core values, and values that have guided Xbox's vision from the start. As one of the largest publishers on Steam, we welcome new options for player to access games everywhere. Congrats on today's announcement, I'm assuming. I find it interesting, again, how this is coming from Phil Spencer himself. There's no real salt to this from what I can see. He might be doing this through gritted teeth, but again, it doesn't really come through in the text. I just find it interesting how this whole it's been like to build a future based on choices has been Xbox's dream when, back in the day during the Xbox One era, that seemed to be like my way or the highway and fuck you. So, I don't know. I just found this tweet interesting that Phil Spencer actually ended up commenting and retweeting the official Valve Twitter account, which, I don't know, that just seems kind of cool, dude. But also really weird. We're gonna go into the replies here. These aren't necessarily PlayStation fanboys. Those are coming in a little bit. Don't worry, little silly little heads. But we're gonna rapid fire through a few of these replies here. Just kind of go through them and really dig into these people, because apparently these are the way that certain fanboys still think here. Zilla says, wonder if Sony gonna pull their games off this. I mean, most of their games are already Steam Deck compatible, and well, pulling the games would be the worst thing you could possibly do PR-wise, because if they pull every single one of their games, including Helldivers 2, which makes them a fuck ton of money, or, just decide to do that for whatever reason, why? Again, it's also funny because they're also now putting their games onto Xbox as well, and so it just seems really weird. Chris Xmas here with people saying console makers are cooked. What PC games that aren't nerdy like WoW are people playing for more than 2 weeks that isn't GTA RP? I mean, for me personally, I've been playing finals for over 2 years. But if you want a more recent example, I got into Sulphur, which might be nerdy to some people, but I also like Arena Breakout Infinite, which is a pretty big one. And I would like to get Battlefield 6 if I could, as well as maybe some of the other big AAA games. But there is a lot of solid games out there on the PC that you can get, and some of them are actually for free, but they're not really nerdy, but whatever. Katana and Doomslayer here for a good old double tap with the max 60 FPS in 2025. Bruh, that's supposed to be a argument, I guess. And Doomslayer saying, dead on arrival, PS6 gonna hit in 2027 and be 10 times more powerful for 200 to 300 more. Yes, because we're gonna be banking on future installments that haven't actually been released to the public yet. Not even any leaks for the PS6 have happened as far as I can tell here. But no. This thing is dead on arrival because possibly, maybe, somewhat in the near distant, maybe future, in the 2027, which, by the way, is about a year from the time that they're actually going to be releasing this, so fuck off. They're definitely going to be not good in terms of that, but what do I know? I just know about time frames and stuff. Time here with saying outdated hardware. Sadly, if the price is right, then why not? But anything with if gets close to the framework PC, it's price. In price, it's DOA. I mean, that depends. The framework PC is kind of like more for modularity's sake, which I guess is fine if you want a more modular PC, but that's not the market that Valve is going for. They're going for the people who are in like the pre-built and the console type space market. So, I mean, different markets for different people. That's why Framework is doing pretty decently. I do want a Framework like laptop at the very least. That'd be pretty cool. D Plays Gaming says, I'm on PC. Wouldn't mind a machine that plays Steam, but here's the problem. I hate Xbox digital games, and the next Xbox will run Steam games also, and a better controller and can buy the anti-cheat games on Xbox that don't work on Steam, like GTA, COD, and Battlefield 6. Then buy the Steam machine for, you know, all the other games you would want to play on a Steam machine and stuff. Oh, but I don't want to have two machines for that. I play mostly on Xbox anyway. It's like, all right, well, congratulations, I guess. This is not really meant for you. I don't really know what you want me to say here. It's really weird how he says, like, oh, I get all these, like, anti-cheat games out of it. It's like, all right, then play those games, probably, like, streaming from your Xbox to the Steam machine. That could probably work as well, just saying. Be pretty neat. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just like someone who knows and understands technology. Ichi Kojima here says, don't understand, can install Windows so I can turn this into a PC and get mods. Oh my god, I love when people just don't understand technology and think like, oh, it needs to run Windows to be a PC. It does not. It just needs to run an operating system that's, you know, not proprietary, or an operating system that is more widely available or something. I don't know. Depends on the operating system. It can't be limited, and the PC console things have been kind of moved in a weird way. Some weird PC fanboy opinions on this one, saying it's way better to build your own PC. There's so much that can be customized and done to make it unique to you and your personal taste. There are so many videos that teach you the basics of how to piece together on paper and then put it together physically. While true, and while not incredibly impossible to do, in fact, it's probably the most possible thing you can do in this situation. Overall, not everyone wants to do that, and not everyone really cares to, you know, make this super high-end custom PC. A lot of people just want a very nice functional PC that can maybe game on the side, but not everyone's going to use it for gaming, as I also use mine for, like, work and things like that. So, you know, just a little bit of a thing there to really kind of put you in the mood for goodness. Next up here, we have Nintendo coming in here with it. It's obvious that no one outside of Nintendo has any ideas of how to navigate the gaming market. It is absolutely clear that crystal clear that gamers have chosen the hybrid console as the now and in the future. Yet Xbox, PlayStation, and Valve are still clueless. Easy Nintendo Switch 2W. What about this doesn't mean that a lot of these are quote-unquote hybrid consoles. Like, you can basically turn this entire system into hybrid consoles, and a lot of them are actually just hybrid consoles kind of in disguise as, you know, actual PCs, but, you know, they're not consoles, even though I just called them that. So, it's kind of weird how people are like, oh, well, you can't do that. I mean, what the heck is the Steam Deck if not a hybrid desktop and portable PC? What is the, I don't know, the Steam machine, if not a mid-tier PC that kind of just has a lot of capabilities to be able to be, you know, within the vein of a hybrid PC or something. I mean, the Valve like Focus, the eye tracking thing, that is literally a VR and a standalone PC in and of itself. The controller is the only thing that's the controller bit, but that's meant to be like just a controller. I find it just weird how it says like, oh, Nintendo's the only one that knows how to navigate to their market, is what the specifics of that is. Valve's doing the same thing, so, you know. Mr. Good Old King Thrash saying, it might flop. Still trying to figure out who this is aimed at. Do PC gamers want less powerful pre-built PCs with less freedom and minimal customization options? Will it have games but built to utilize the hardware, or is this just a launcher box? I love how both of those are like very easily applied to consoles as well. Like less powerful pre-built PCs with less freedom and minimal customization options. What do you have in terms of minimal customization for the PlayStation? Because that's even less customizable in terms of at least the software. I mean, again, the hardware might not be as customizable, but at least on the Steam machine, you can actually customize the hardware more than you can customize the, the other one, the PlayStation. And saying that it's having hardware, like games built to the hardware specifications, it's not really built on the exclusive framework, so they don't need that in order to like draw people in. At least in terms of their market. People will probably just find out about it through osmosis or whatever. And I personally am just excited for like new hardware from Valve, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there, but again, that's neither here nor there. I just find it really weird how, again, both of those ideas are very console idealistic in that context. Another interesting rapid-fire lightning round that we're going to go through is Nicola, who had a ton of things to say because, well, he made one response and essentially just went down the entirety of the rabbit hole. So I'm going to frame the rest of these under the scope of this is just really dumb. Starting, of course, off with, I love that PC fanboys keep claiming consoles are dead while Valve keeps trying to become one. No, they're not. They're just making hardware for their OS system that they are making and trying to push out for a more, open and bigger environment for games to be played as many places as possible. I mean, yeah, certainly. You might think that this is a console, as we've established before, but it's not. It is a PC. And what's also really interesting here is that this specific one I wanted to point out also got community noted, saying that the Steam machine is a computer. It is running Arch-based Linux as its operating system, which can be replaced with different operating system. Wow. It's almost like it's a PC, but it somehow is wearing more of a console framework because people want to easily transition over to PC. It's so weird. Nicola coming in here again with when I said PC experience is miserable, they put me on a cross. A few weeks later, Valve announces a product that's literally designed to make it less miserable, and all of a sudden gaming is changed forever. I mean, in your opinion, is fucking dog shit that the PC experience is miserable. I mean, again, people usually want to pay for turnkey solutions. And saying that gaming is changed forever, I mean, yeah, kind of. A small company like Valve is actually making good, proper, advancements. Maybe not fully into hardware spaces, but making interesting software expansions, making interesting hardware decisions and things to try to at least push the industry somewhat forward and utilizing it. I think one of the best ways that Reggie would probably put it is that they're using current existing technology to kind of the best that they can in order to make the best machines for that technology rather than trying to push the boat out even further than it has been pushed out before. Just kind of puts things into perspective if you think about it. Morons quoting me with this gotcha. If the Steam machine was obviously a PC, why would Valve have to remind and reassure people with this? It literally proves my point that the first and foremost it sells a console-like experience. Notice the wording there. If we were to go with this semantic argument of saying why would they need to reassure people that it's a PC, I mean, why would you need to say that it's a console-like experience and just not call it a console? Because, again, like I said, it's not a console, it is a PC, and it is said here. It's also just standard marketing to point out, like, this isn't exactly what you think it is, it's this thing entirely. Because, again, reassuring people that this is what it is just general marketing 101. I mean, I wouldn't call a tomato a spade if that was what you really wanted it to, even if someone were to call it that. What if I made a spade out of a tomato, or a tomato out of a spade? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You get what I'm saying here? Next up here, with Somali Rel saying the mental gymnastics that fanboys jump through to say anything hooked up to a TV is a console is funny. So all of that's to basically say that this person of Nicola is basically trying to do the mental gymnastics, but he comes back with a interesting, it's not mental gymnastics. The whole point of the device is to simply the experience to make it console-like, because Valve, like me, knows the average PC experience is miserable. No, I don't really think that that's the case. Valve is trying to appeal to a wider market for a console-like experience because, you know, they want to get those people into their ecosystem because of it. I just find it very weird how you're not seeing that Valve understands that people would want a console but might also have PC stuff for it. It's just, you're like 99% of the way there, but the last 1% that you're just kind of misinterpreting is the part that a lot of people seem to have like really stupid amounts of problems with it. Just like this saying, just put more VRAM into it. It's a PC after all. That's not how VRAM works, you dick. That's just how, you know, like RAM works, like regular RAM, but VRAM is different. So it's not really possible to do that. Can't download it. Nicola here says, open the box, plug it in, and play. It's a pre-assembled hardware box with a controller. They can call it a PC for marketing. Nobody is buying this just to cripple it with Windows. The PS3 wasn't a PC just because you could install Linux on it. They're after console players. I mean, again, the last bit I think is true, where they're after people from consoles or people who want to maybe look into PC, or even people who want to just transfer over to Linux if they really, really cared. But, I mean, what part of the open the box, plug it in, and play isn't just how PCs have operated for fucking years at this point? I mean, again, both of my PCs were actually pre-built. One I bought fully custom from a like PC building hardware thing, as well as the other one I bought from an Amazon, you know, for pretty less than money. I even bought a laptop. I've not built any of my PCs. All of them are to the specifications and to the ways that I wanted to make them. But overall, looking at everything that I currently had, saying that that's all like saying that like open box, plug it in, and play is just like the console-like experience. That's been a part of PC for a while, Nicola. And that, of course, ends the Nicola segment of our time here. Moving on to Grums with the more interesting two-part double standard here, with the first one being, this has been tried before and failed to really make a dent. The Steam Deck was very successful. I think the fundamental problem is that as computer becomes more powerful, few people want single-purpose devices anymore. I mean, again, the Steam Machine is not a single-purpose device, it is a PC. And one thing else that he also then tweets out a little bit later, saying, Steam Machine tried and failed back in 2018. What's the difference this time? Success of the Steam Deck, mature Steam OS, better, faster hardware, Xbox gone, going PC. What else? I mean, apart from that last one being just really kind of semantic and stupid, the hardware itself getting actually cheaper and more affordable. The actual, again, usage of Linux and the whole Proton layer system to allow for the Windows PC stuff to work compatibly with Linux. I mean, overall, all of that seems to be really easily making this an interesting purchase if you want to have your first PC for something. There are some other ones that I'm probably going to throw in through different rants, so don't worry too much about it. But I think to kind of end off this whole semantical argument, I guess, of whatever the fuck is happening right now, we have Astro Cyborg saying no Xbox compatibility with a haha when they're talking about Reforged Gaming, who had the worst fucking take in the entire world with the I don't think the Steam Machine is a threat to the Xbox Magnus for a few reasons. 1, weaker hardware. 2, no Xbox backwards compatibility. And 3, different target audience. Who's gonna tell him about the whole, like, you know, backwards compatibility thing? And the hardware itself is not necessarily weaker. I don't even know what you would compare it to. It would probably be more of the comparison to the other stuff. But the different target audience thing, that one's kind of true. But no Xbox backwards compatibility, so we can't, like, do emulation of the original Xbox hardware or do, like, a lot of the stuff for Xbox. Like, you know how dumb that sounds, right? It's just really weird. It's just really weird. Anyway, while I rant in this over-conclusion-airy period, I'm probably just going to throw up a bunch of the other ones that I just didn't have time to go through here. Because overall, there is just so much salt on this that, frankly, I can't be asked to cover it all. But those are the ones that I really wanted to talk about. And overall, Steam does nothing, wins, Steam does something, and then the entire internet flames itself for the next 3 years. So I'm excited to see where this hardware stuff goes. The one thing that I would do if I were to purchase all 3 of them and like money no objects, which one would I purchase first? It'd probably be the Steam frame, then along with the Steam controller, and then finally the Steam machine. I have no real need for another computer, at least not right now, but I mean the Steam machine would be pretty cool to have, but it wouldn't be my necessarily first purchase. But more definitely would be the Steam controller and the Steam frame to me, because I like the controller and the other support and stuff, and it'd just be really cool to play some interesting games in VR and have maybe another, place to play games like that. I do hope and pray that it works with the current Steam VR system, where it will recognize it in the Steam VR system and maybe not allow it to be tracked with the base stations that I have, but allow it to integrate well and have full body tracking alongside of it. Please, 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 please. Don't want to have to blind that stuff. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Rent to a Microphone, about a clearly amazing, wonderful thing to happen in the gaming industry, but people are very just upset because it was Steam and not their, company of choice for whatever reason. My name is GamePenguin1. Again, if you like what it is that I do want to throw me up in the shape form, other than like and subscribe, thanks now. I stream here every Sunday at 12 p.m. EST. Come on by, say hi, I love y'all. Chat about more stuff there. And finally, all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and a peace.